complete panic there. Hey, morning, happy Tuesday. I did my complete panic to decide to put the jazz back on, so it was a great comment. I like a little background noise. I don't know about you, but I think it's nice when everything's quiet. You can hear a little jazz. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to play in MidJourney a bit, and we're going to work with some pictures that I have taken at a previous event I spoke at in Texas. And I kind of want to use bits and pieces of that, and I want to show you a trick that I haven't seen a lot of people do, because that's what this channel is kind of about, is like me pushing the software in different ways other than what you're going to see everyone else do. Because I'm trying to accomplish a goal with it. I'm not just trying to create a bunch of images. I usually have a goal or a reason why I'm doing it. So I have a picture of a young lady that I took, and I want to kind of create something interesting for the background, and I'm kind of stuck as to what I want to do. So what I want to do is I want to try and force MidJourney to use that image as a source to hand me ideas. And MidJourney is very restrictive on trying to allow someone to create something like that. They don't want to do that kind of thing. They want to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. You can use our prompts, but any images you give us, we're kind of look at and go, what is that? But there are ways to kind of push the engine to looking at the image more. And that's by kind of making a stark contrast, for example. I've done that and it's worked out pretty well. But I'm looking for ideas. I'm not looking to hand me like, here's your finished image and we use part of your picture. I don't want that. That's not what I want. That wouldn't satisfy me because if I'm an artist and I want to make something, I want to make it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to play with this. I have no idea where we're going with this today. Again, this is me playing with the engine. Watch me stumble through it and make stupid mistakes and make horrible things. You have no idea. It may turn into a fail. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm going to try and walk away with something that I'm proud of, that I want to put in my portfolio. And that's the goal. By the way, a common problem I see with a lot of people doing this is that they're having issues with scale, meaning that all the things that come out of these AI engines tend to be pretty small. I have a terrific solution for upscaling these. It is free. I have a separate video that'll be coming out later today, but I'll probably end up doing that near the end of this stream anyway. So if you're sticking around to get a preview as to what that tool is going to be, that'll be a separate video that'll be uploaded as a video and not a live stream. Because I know a lot of people don't enjoy live streams for some reason, like this is too long. I just want the quick version where speed edits irritate me. Like, what did you do? You move so fast. So this is the slower, more methodical, jazz-driven version of a speed edit, right? So let's change screens. We'll go over here and we'll play with this. All right, so I'm going to be in... obviously Discord here, and let me get my screens oriented here so I can actually see the chat, because you guys are probably want to say stuff and I want to be there and be receptive. Hey, Bobby says his first live. Yay, welcome aboard. I do have a little camera at the top I can put on there, but I don't know if you guys want that or not. I might put the top down, so I have one that is of the keyboard and the mouse. So if we get into retouching, we go into Photoshop and we do in there, which we will do. I'll probably turn that camera on because a lot of people want to say, well, what keys are you pressing? How's your desk laid out and so on. You can see that better. But now you get to look at the side of my head because that's what's pointing that way. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to take, ideally, again, if the world is perfect, I have these shots here that I took in Texas. And I want to do is I want to take one of these. And I'm not really sure which one yet. It depends on facial position of what we kind of get out of the engine, out of MidJourney. As to which one I want to use, but this is Callista's face, and I want to kind of use her as the model for this. So I'm doing it backwards. Ideally, I would go into MidJourney, I would create an epic scene I'm super proud of, and I would come out of that, and I would try and go into the studio and say, okay, I already know the direction of lighting, which is the primary thing you can't screw up. If you have something that's lit from the right and you're using a model that's lit from the left, and you're trying to merge this in Photoshop, you're going to have a hell of a time, and it's never going to look right. So obviously, in that case, you just mirror it. But in a situation where you don't have that, you're going to have to go into the studio and then photograph that person so the lighting matches. And that's really the only hard part here, is to try and go ahead and do that type of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people haven't done. I'm going to take one of these images and I'm going to export it from Capture One here, which is the application I'm in. And we're going to do a little bit of Capture One today, but it's not a tremendous amount. Tuesdays used to be my all Capture One all day. But Capture One itself it's not a hard program. So we've kind of beaten the horse, I think, for this. We're going to continue to use Capture One until there's a new version that comes out with something exciting. I think you're going to kind of see me use it as a tool in conjunction with Photoshop and MidJourney. and Stable Diffusion, which is another one that's coming out that I use quite a bit. So we're kind of shift our live stream content a little bit more toward the AI, because right now I'm doing a lot of that. I have a lot of clients where I'm using this work and things are going like that. So that's what's going to happen. You got an advertisement on a live stream? That's pretty cool. All right, we'll go for that. That's neat. All right, what I want to do is I'm going to hop in here, and I'm looking, I think, for white flowers. So I'm just going to start there and see what happens. So we're in MidJourney, obviously. If you're not familiar with this, there's a whole separate video where it's an interview with Galia, who's the channel God. So she is the highest tier person on this entire channel. So thank you so much to her and all the other supporters, which, by the way, I will show right now. There's the supporters for the channel. So that is all the awesome people that are helping support this. So if you like these live streams and you like this channel and you're getting a lot from it, then really that's the best way to help me, is to support it by, let's do the right camera, by helping to keep the channel alive, because advertising ain't going to do it. And that's funny that I cut to a live ad. I'll figure out what that is. We won't do that anymore because that's annoying. Okay. I've upped your Photoshop game. Good. Good. All right. So I really don't know what I want here. All right. So let's talk about getting this to kind of use it as our point of departure. So what I do inside of Capture One is have an export called Quick Export, and all it does is export it as a JPEG. It doesn't do anything. So I end up with a folder of, let me find it here, Quick Export. So let's just export her here, and I can do, like, I might choose, I want to make it more obvious what I want out of this, so I might increase the contrast quite a bit. Because again, it's not going to use the picture, it's going to use kind of the spirit of the picture. So it can see that it is a person, and it is in kind of a cross shape. And that's about what it's probably going to walk away with. So I'm going to go ahead and export it. And I'll show you that. We're going to hop in here, and this is what it exported. So you see it's nothing amazing. So how do we get that into MidJourney? Well, that's actually pretty easy. I can do this, is I can just drag it into the MidJourney bot. So it's going to upload the image. So I just drag and dropped it into Discord. And now I can right click and I can say, copy the link. So now when I talk to the Imagine parameter, I can paste the link here. And now I'm referencing that image from this point forward. So it's really easy for me to get that. And so it says, well, you have to have a full path for something. Well, now we do. And we know it can see it because it's the place to put it there. So we're pretty safe on that aspect. So now what else we want? Well, I think I want white flowers. I was just going to start with that and see where it goes. Some kind of adjectives to describe the scene will be things like, say, luxury, because why not? It's luxury, right? That's what I am, a luxury photographer. So luxury, we've got white flowers, we've got, maybe it's high key. It may not know what that means, but that basically means it's a brighter scene and not a dark and moody scene, because that's not really what I'm after. I think flowers is good. And we may just kind of start there. Now, because I've referenced an image, I have access to the IW, or image weight, which by default I think is 0.25. So it means that the rest of the image is going to be the 100% of the image, and we've got just a 25% of this other thing we've added in. Ooh, ornate, I like that one. Let's throw that in there. Good suggestion, yes. So image weight, and because it's normally just a quarter, I want to make it a lot more prevalent. So I'm going to say 2. I want it to be big, at least twice as more important than what else is going to be generated. Also, I didn't mention a method of drawing. So I could say I wanted oil on canvas or something along that lines. I'm going to leave it open and just kind of see what it comes up with and see what happens. But by using an image and referencing it, we should get something that is, again, has a white figure in the middle, hopefully. That's kind of where I'm going. Again, I haven't tested this. Well, I have tested this in another image I created that was a, let me find it for you real quick. It was a piece that I produced that, I gotta use the censor one because we're on YouTube. It's this. So I uploaded her, and it showed a dark form of about the approximate size and shape. So it worked its way around that element. And again, it was very, in fact, I have the I have some of those I can show you real quick here before we dive in, because just so you know how I'm not going insane here. Although I may be, but not that insane. Things like this is kind of what it did. So you see, it took the rough approximation of her form, and then I borrowed bits and pieces from all of these different overlays to kind of get what I wanted. It was not that we got a picture of her and it augmented it. There is no way to do that right now in MidJourney. DALL-E 2 is the only one I know right now that will let you upload a photo and then you can manipulate it. But that's not really kind of what I'm after here. So let's go ahead and toss this to the wind and see what happens. And hopefully it will be amazing. And if not, well, we'll go from there. I may actually work on a different picture. I mean, because I have to figure out how to solve this problem, and I don't want to spend an hour doing that and you guys be like, oh my god, you're just failing epically over and over again. But that's what I'm going to be doing anyway, so you might as well just watch me do it, because that's more fun, right? And we may have to get rid of high key. Like, it may not like that, and you know, see, it's doing what I don't want it to do. It's trying to use the picture of her more than it used to. So again, this engine is constantly evolving and changing. It looks like right now it is attempting to do something a little more with that picture than I maybe want. Although, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to judge it early on. And if I don't like it, that reroll button, as I say, people tend to ignore that reroll button, and you always go back and you change something, That reroll button is really there for, you think you got it, just roll it again. There's an infinite number of possibilities that come out of this thing. So if you think you got it, don't give up, right away and just say, well, I've got to change a word. I've got to add more things to it. It may be that you're right. You just need to tell the engine, just try that again. Just try it again. So don't give up so soon. Yeah, this isn't what I want at all. So let's do that. Yeah, by the way, thanks for everybody who says use the up arrow to repeat what was last done in Discord, but I have to say about 5% of the time this actually works. Usually it's just not, it just doesn't work. So let's get rid of a couple things. Let's get rid of the word high key in here, because I don't think that's helping me out. I think it is pushing this into the high key, but I'm going to use like the word epic. So we get more of, it's trying to produce more things in the scene, do things along that lines. Can you change to fast so it's faster render? I can, but I don't want to work against my hours for that yet. And this is fast enough for me, because we're going to have like 4 or 5 of these jobs running at the same time. So it's going to get picked up. Getting in digital art, MidJourney, learning Photoshop. Thank you for liking the videos. I appreciate that. Do you have a plan for a technical video about diffusion modeling and noise reduction process? I could do one. I think there are some really good ones out there. They're pretty technical, but there are quite a few that are decent. So, okay, so here's what we got. And I don't really like any of them. They're using my image, or at least the idea of my image. So woman in a white dress, it's all fine, but it's not really what I wanted. Intricate, okay, I like these ideas. I appreciate you guys throwing these in here. Intricate, okay. Again, image weight is going to be 2, so we're pushing for more image weight here. We want white flowers, and if we can continue to repeat kind of what we're looking for, then each time we're doing something like that, we're kind of repeating it. We're telling the engine this is an important part. This is a really important aspect of this. So not using the same word maybe, but using synonyms of it. So floral. The other one I'm going to throw in here, which I like often, is volumetric. Wow, I butchered that. V-O-L-U-M-E-T-R-I-C. So I said it, but I can't type it. By the way, I am broken when it comes to spelling, so if you want to make fun of somebody for spelling, this is a great channel for that, because I have no spelling skills. It's the unoriginal person who can only think of one way to spell a word, right? So, volumetric. I think that is spelled right. If I'm wrong, fix it. V-O-L-U-E? V-O-L-U-E? Well, no, that's great. I'll try it. You know what? I don't think that's correct. Let me double check this. Sorry. This is my life, right? I'm always having to double check my spelling on things. Yes, I spelled it wrong. Or did I? No, it looks like I got it right. I'm broken that way. All right. What are my thoughts on Unreal Engine with portraits? I like Unreal Engine. In fact, we could probably add that in here. This is kind of producing more of a photographic answer right now, which is not what I expected from MidJourney. But again, every day the model is changing a little bit. I use Unreal Engine as the look So when someone says Octane Render, Volume, or Unreal Engine, or Caravaggio, they are asking for a look. It's not that you're actually using the Octane Render engine. Octane Render has a look. It's a very rendered look with a very aggressive depth of field usually. Elegant filigree. Okay, I like that. That's good. Let's toss this up here. Very good idea. So the volumetric means it's going to attempt to add kind of a fog to the scene, which I think will work well for what we're going for. We have a background here that I'm going to try and augment. Maybe not remove, but augment is the better word for it there. So we're just going to kind of push our way through that. So let's try this. We can get this kind of going, and then again we can continue to perfect it as we want to. Q2 is quality level 2 is the default right now, so you're paying more for that than you would be if you're doing a different quality. So let's note that as these quality levels come out and their pricing models changing or adjusting, I should say, 0.25 will get you a quicker model at a quarter of the cost, but it depends on what you want to do with it. Yeah, so far I'm not happy with any of these. Can you add values to each word? You can, but anything over a couple of them, and you're really kind of getting rid of the whole reason why that is in there. So let's do an example of that. Yeah, so I know it was top of mind. He's like extra dominance. Let's discuss that. So let's do an imagine. So we want white flowers. Well, lots of white flowers. And we want, what do we want? And trees. Okay, so we want lots of white flowers and trees. Now, this I think is where people get messed up as to how to use this. The way to use it is to take the first part and kind of define what it is you're looking at. We have lots of white flowers and trees. It's that simple. Now we want to take and we want to give detail to those items. So we'll say intricate petals, white petals. Leaves, say gray. Let's go gray leaves on trees. And we can actually not even put we can just put the colon. It knows it's a 1 automatically, but we'll just kind of throw that in there to give you an idea. So what you're doing is you're defining what you're looking at, and then you use the second part to kind of add detail to that. So we can continue to go down that lane. So we could say we want V-Ray or Octane or whatever look you're looking for. Let's say in this case I want just oil on canvas. I would like it to be intricate. Again, intricate, luxury. Do we want to reference that image again? Or do we just want to throw caution to the wind and not use it? So I think that not referencing the image might do us a favor because it's continuously trying to put the lady into the image. Not like what I was expecting. I had great success with that before because I'm going to remove her and use whatever produced around it, but it keeps throwing her off center and doing wacky things with it, which is not what I'm doing. Q5 was turned off for a while, so they might have turned it back on. But Q5 means a quality level. We can also use stylize, which defaults to I think it's 2,500. But it goes up to 60,000, which means it's going to try and mess with the keywords we've given it and use it less as a gospel and more of how we want to go with it. Yeah, you can add negative values as well. So we can go, we could say no, I could use 2 dashes on here. You can tell I keep using these different tools and they have different nomenclatures. Like nobody has the same nomenclature for stuff. I mean, that's not helpful. So we could say no people, or up here, we could actually add a colon and a negative number to remove things from things. Well, I'm okay with a Q2 here. I think this will be fine for what we're doing. But say no people, and I think that looks. And we want this to say portrait. So portrait, by the way, is a preference grouping. So I'm tired of typing the same thing over and over and over again. You can use the preference options, and then you can say every time I type the word portrait, so I have portrait, tall, landscape, and wide. So tall is a 2:1, portrait is a 3:2, which is kind of what my camera shoots. Well, it's exactly what my camera shoots. Landscape would be the same thing, but on its side, and then a wide would be 2:1 wide. So because I don't want to continue because I'm dyslexic, I'd be like, well, is it 2 first or the 1 first? I never remember, and then I make the wrong thing, and I'm angry with myself. Yeah, there's a chaos parameter as well. I'm just going to go with this for now because we've got enough chaos and see how this comes out. And hopefully we can get something that we're just going to kind of add to the image. Again, this is where it's much easier to have an image you love, and then you go into the studio and shoot for the image. I think that's really the way this is supposed to go in my mind, and a lot easier. But because I haven't photographed locally, I was just in Austin, Texas yesterday, and I've got Chattanooga, Tennessee coming up soon, and I got Florida coming up, and I'm all over the damn place. And I haven't planned anything here locally. I have client work, but clients don't often want their images shared online this way. So I shoot about 50 to 60% of my business is boudoir. So I shoot a lot of women boudoir-wise, and they might be breast cancer diagnosis, so they're getting their last hurrah out before surgeries, or it could be they lost weight or getting divorced or getting married or whatever it is. So that's kind of my main business, and a lot of that you're never going to see on here because that's not what they want, right? They're like, hey, you shouldn't show that to the world. All right, so this is interesting, and we can actually separate this. We could do white flowers and trees, and then we could change the amount of those. Let's demonstrate that, because that's actually kind of a good point for where to use those colons. I know a lot of people use them between every term, and that's not really the idea here. So let's do small white flowers, because lots of is going to defeat us. So 2, and then we say tall gray trees, and we say that's also a 2, but maybe we want more trees and less flowers. So we can do something along that lines where we're kind of directing it. Let's get rid of this. Make this a comma. So you're defining the items in there, and then you're adding your details to how you want them rendered down below. Yes, yeah, the $30 subscription for MidJourney is totally the way to go. And if you use relax mode like we are now, we don't have any problems with our wives or husbands yelling at us for stuff. So let's look at what we just produced here, because I kind of like this one quite a bit. So I like this 4th one. So what I always do is I'll always ask for a variation right away before I start upsizing, because maybe it's just going to be like, oh, so hi, Jessica. Thank you for coming to the channel today. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining. You guys are a nice chatty group. I really liked it. I don't feel like I'm sitting here talking to the camera by myself, which is usually what I end up doing. So we see here we've got equal weight of trees and flowers. Actually, we've got more trees than flowers, right? So if we take this same thing and we switch it, so we say more flowers than trees, and we send this off again, we should get exactly that. So when you're doing these things, don't automatically just throw a colon between every word, because that is not really doing anything. Define what you want, and then add all the details about those things later on. And that way we can continue to adjust things, but the weights of things really aren't going to change that much. If you know you want more flowers than trees, then that's not changing. But what do those trees or flowers look like? That's that long, common, delimited list you're putting on the end there. I'm actually going to do a whole video on prompt crafting and things along that lines. Okay, so I liked this one, but we're running variations on that one as well, aren't we? I believe we are. So this is more trees than flowers, and you can see that's actually what it's doing. And this one is more flowers than trees, and you see that is what it's doing. So by using a generic term and the weighting up front, and then the common delimited list later, you can control more of what's coming out of it. I have a quick question. When you find a specific artist or painter better than just asking for general style, if you want a Monet, better to ask instead of Impressionism. I think that by I think you win either way. If you know you want Impressionism, then use an Impressionist who you like, and it's going to try and emulate that style. But if you want generic Impressionism, that's good enough for you, then go for it. It's really up to everything. I found when I was trying to do some stuff last week, I couldn't get a fairy looking character out of this thing at all. And I found that when I started using things like references, was it a fairy? I can't remember what it was, but I started using references to Dungeons and Dragons. Then it knew, oh, it's this kind of a thing and not like a Tinkerbell kind of thing, which actually worked really well for the concept I had. Not a good example there, but so here we go. More flowers than trees, and that's kind of what it's building for me. And this one here is more trees than flowers, and that's what we got. I actually really think this one might work for some of what we're doing here. I kind of like that one. So I'm going to go ahead and again, because I'm a big fan of the variation, I'm just going to go ahead and click that. Advice on commercial use. Read the terms carefully and you're still not 100% sure. For example, is a 30-pound subscription. Can you sell images like this on Shutterstock? That's a good question. I think that the amount of volume you do and how much you sell determines whether you have to buy their corporate license, which is like $530 a month or something like that. But as it is now, if you're an individual producer, you own each of the images you're creating, but MidJourney still maintains the rights to use them for marketing and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But yeah, that's a good question. If you're going to upload them as stock photography, I think that Shutterstock is probably going to care more than you probably will. And at least initially, I'd be concerned about trying to sell them as stock photography. I'd like to ask if you're using relax mode and Q2 canceling each other out. No, you can use any quality level and relax mode and you're fine, but it's going to take a while. Trying to make an image series for Family Saga and want the style of images to be the same. Oh, well, in that case, you want to use Stable Diffusion, because Stable Diffusion will let you change small aspects of it, but it'll keep the same seed. That currently does not work with MidJourney. Stable Diffusion at some point is supposed to bolt onto MidJourney, at least if I'm understanding what they're trying to do. So that's kind of cool. That'll be neat if they can actually do that. Yeah, so I'm kind of digging this. I think this is going to work. Oh, this is actually interesting as well. I don't know. We'll see. So let's upscale this one, and I want to upscale. Do I like any of these? I think I like this one here, so upscale that one. And I think I liked this one as well. I like this one. Let's ask for variations on that one. And this is why I'm paying for relax mode right here, because I just sent off like 8 jobs to this thing. So maybe use my phone for spelling. Yeah, you know what? When I'm out and about and I'm trying to spell or text people, yeah, I use voice to text. I am broken when it comes to spelling. So I was a physicist before this, so I'm very comfortable with math and all kinds of stuff, but I don't spell. I don't spell. I also have significant difficulties with directions. Like I don't know which way north is anytime. And getting places, I get lost quite a bit. My wife thinks it's totally hilarious. I can find my way out of a maze, but I get lost going to the grocery store. You know, it's just totally funny. But you can't be good at everything, right? So these are what I choose to be good at. Okay, this is interesting as well. I actually think one of these might be kind of cool. So we're just going to kind of generate a few of these. We're going to drag them in to Photoshop and see what we can do. Have I played with Stable Diffusion? Yes, I use Stable Diffusion quite a bit. I think it's a really great tool. I did a video on that a couple weeks ago, and that tool has changed quite a bit since then, and I'm going to do another one on it. In fact, I will upload, or have uploaded technically, a video on how to use it. Or how to do something with it as upsizing. This is created in Stable Diffusion, for example. You can see it's a little bit different looking than MidJourney. And it's just as terrible at faces and adding extra limbs, but its art style is very different. And I'm sure you could get the same thing out of MidJourney, but this is the default for Stable Diffusion. But what I want to show is that this is 100%. It doesn't make very big images. So I need to upscale it. And I have a great way to do that. And maybe I'll show you guys that today, but there will be a video coming out literally an hour after this. It's already recorded. It's already on YouTube. I just have to release it. That shows the tools I'm using to do that. So let's open this one and save this one off. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm just going to save image as and throw it into the same pile as I do everything else. And what else are we at here? Oops. I do that every single time. I'm consistent about it anyway. Have I used Crayon? I have. It's fine. It doesn't do what I need it to do or what I would want a tool like that to do. There's also I can't remember the name of the other one that I've used. They're fine. They're just not doing what I'm looking for. I think I like this one the best, this top one. So let's upscale that one. That looks pretty good to me. Yep. No, Crayon. So Crayon is another AI. It's DALL-E 1 basically, and it works great for some stuff, but it's got a look like some of the other ones. There's quite a few other tools I've used over the years that I really didn't think about that they're AI driven, but they are, and I'm still using them from time to time. I'll have to cover some of those because they're to me, they're problem solving tools. So if I have like I had a video where I used DALL-E 2 to fix the hands in MidJourney, and everybody's yelling at me because DALL-E 2 is not available to everyone. Well, I know that, but the goal is that if I'm trying to fix a problem, this is the only tool I know that does that. Now, I'm sure other things will eventually solve the problem, but right now I don't have any other good answers other than take a stock photo of the hand and try and get it to work. Okay. Or put something in front of the hands. You saw me do that the other day when we were doing the leaf thing. I just threw some leaves in front of it and said, well, look at that. Now the hands are fixed because you can't see them anymore. Put them behind something. So I'm just going to generate some of these things, and we're going to go into Photoshop and we're going to mess with it and see what we can make. Again, this is not a beginner level Photoshop channel. This is I mean, I've done this. Geez, I've been doing Photoshop since version 6 or something like that. So I do a lot of this kind of stuff. So I'm not slow at it. I will try and be methodical about what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll switch my camera now so you don't have to look at the side of my head. You can look at the desk. There we go. So I have a Wacom medium-sized tablet, which I don't. It's okay. It doesn't remember where it is a lot of the time, so I have to restart it often. The Bluetooth service is not great either, but it is the de facto standard of tablets, or has been for years. I don't know if that's so much true anymore. I have another one I'm going to be trying here in a day or two, so we're going to try that out and see what we think of it. But yeah. Okay, so now we got a couple of those. Let's go into Photoshop here, and well, let's go to Capture One first of all. So in Capture One, I'm just going to do some quick corrections here. I need to reset this so that it's not dorky, because it's all messed up right now. It's much like Lightroom. If you're not a Lightroom person, or you're not a Capture One person, it's very much like Lightroom in what it does. But overall, we call it Lightroom for grown-ups, or at least I call it Lightroom for grown-ups, because it does a lot of stuff that Lightroom can't do. And it does it much better. So we're going to go with this. It's the distance here is my only concern, and we'll just expand the canvas on that, so I'm not overly worried about it. Oops. And I will need to export this to Photoshop, and that's it. So not a lot of changes to it. Don't leave stuff crooked. This is the Intuos Pro Medium. Whatever the current one is, that's the current one it is. But I don't use the buttons ever. They're in a place I can't, I just don't use them. I prefer my hand just right here, and I can get all these other buttons. So this is awkward for me. I prefer it here. Okay, here you are. So let's go drag some pictures into this thing. So let's go to MidJourney. Got a whole bunch of stuff in here I've been collecting. Grab this one. If you drag it in here, it's going to open a separate image. If you drag it into here, it'll open it in the current image, right? And I don't care if it's smaller than she is. This image is 10,000 pixels on the long edge, so it's trying its best to make this work. Let's try this one first, all right? In order to make any of this work, by the way, did you see I dropped my pencil? I get it out of the way. If you're a Wacom user, or you're trying to learn to use a Wacom tablet, and people tell you, just use it all day long for like 2 weeks and you get good at it, that is horrific advice, okay? Use it when you need a pencil, when you're trying to be specific about something. Don't use it when you should be using a mouse, because you can actually get stuff done, right? I think people, you gain in the ability to retouch because you're so good with the pencil, but then you lose it the rest of the day because you're using this goofy tool. All right, so this is a mediocre selection. We need to tell it nothing in here. And these legs don't belong in there. We don't want those. Don't do any of that. And this looks pretty good, but it's probably not great. So let's go refine that. So I'm going to go select. I'm going to hold down Shift and use the legacy version of Select and Mask. I don't like the current version. It's fine. It's just not great. And it looks like we missed a spot there. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around her hair real quick. So I have her hair. That's all really that I care about there. And maybe her hands. I want to make sure that I'm getting the fingers and no gray between the fingers, because that's going to bother me. Something like this. I don't know what's going on down here, so we're just gonna go around it and let it kind of figure it out. That's a horrible example. There we go. And we got to fix that little tiny gap right there, which is super easy. So we'll go, and then now we see why, because it's actually not a gap at all. So we'll go in here and we'll use the minus and plus sign and select all that. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. It doesn't have to be perfect because what we're going to do with it, that's going to be good enough. And I'm going to duplicate this background just because we know we're going to torture it. Now I can't duplicate it because it's still locked as a background, so I have to double click to unlock it. Now I can duplicate it by holding up. If you hold the Alt key and you drag something, you can duplicate very quickly instead of doing it and having to lift your hand up and go Control J, or drag it down to New Layer, which is the same thing. There's 3 different ways to do it. But the best way is hold on Alt and just give it a nudge, and it'll duplicate it. There are document of lists of all the styles that you can do. Yeah, I have a pretty good guide that I'm going to be releasing as a video here, probably tomorrow actually. I don't have it done yet, but it'll be good. Can I delete my images in private mode? Yep. Yep. You can. You just go and add the X to it, and it will delete it for you. When sketching, is there a hypothetical triangle between the brain, the eye, and the fingers? Drawing pad without a screen. Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought about it, but it's very intuitive. I've never had an issue with it. All right, I'm going to save the selection just because I don't want to do it again. I call it 1 because I'm lazy. And now I need to get rid of these other issues, these other goofy things that are in here. And I'm going to try and do it with actually the AI built into Photoshop. We're just going to go and select this leg here and the shadow. And say, okay, get rid of that. So Shift Backspace, Enter. And that's probably good enough, actually, for what we're going to be doing. Just got to remember to get rid of the shadow, too. A lot of people do that thing and they forget about the shadow. Maybe that isn't good enough. Maybe that's a half-assed job and I'm giving up too early. We're just going to clone stamp up in there, maybe. Oh, I hate that, too. Let's do this. Let's do it the smart way. There's actually the patch tool is pretty damn powerful for something like this. As you can go and just say, I want to use just this part here. And then we should be able to get something, although we have this gradient between the floor there. Yeah, I wonder if that would work. Should copy this floor in here. I probably should have been happier with it when I started out. Again, I don't even really know why I'm taking so much time with this, because we're going to get rid of this anyway, but this just has to be good enough. Good enough. All right, a shadow in front of her here, I guess it has to be there, because if it isn't, it'll look all awkward. So let's use a polygonal here and get rid of that. Again, using the content aware fill in Photoshop to just kind of fix it for us is good enough for me, and the same here. Oops. Good enough. All right. What are my views in Affinity? I have Affinity and I like it. It's fine. But when I'm trying to do frequency separation, for example, I have 4 or 5 different methods of frequency separation depending on what I'm doing. They only do one. And they do it very well, but they only do one. And sometimes I want the other ones. And that's a problem. So frequency separation, everyone uses Gaussian blur. It uses Gaussian blur. But there are other methods to work with that blur, that color layer, that Affinity just doesn't allow for. Otherwise, it's fine. It's a great tool. It's 39 bucks, and I really like it for that. All right, so let's bring this background in. And again, I'm just going to resize it here. I don't really know where I'm going with this, so we're just going to kind of play with it. It does have a ground plane, which I like already. I just want the ground planes to kind of match maybe. So I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to hit 5 so I can kind of see through it. See if I can get the ground plane to kind of match, maybe. Something like this. Maybe. Okay, and then we're going to bring back our selection. You can do that the hard way, which is select, load selection, hit 1, hit OK. Okay, don't do that. Just go to channels and control click on the thumbnail. It's the same thing. And it's a hell of a lot faster. Okay, hold down our Alt key because we want the mask to be inverted. We want to see it and not her. So we do something like this. Or her and not it, I should say. Good enough. Now, do I like it? Well, maybe not yet. So let's try different blending modes here and see if we can get something that's more interesting. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're just trying to get it roughed in to see if we even like this thing, right? That's the goal. And it's usually one of these two right here. And it looks like it's okay. I don't know that I love it. Let's try the other one. And instead of doing the same work again, we just get it kind of in place here. Okay, or it looks like we're gonna kind of keep it. Let's do it like in here. Do like this. And instead of having to do the whole masking thing again, if you hold on your Alt key, you can actually drag the mask back right up into that one. And then you get it all ready. And then we'll just go ahead and change, again, our blending modes and see if we find something we like. I like the concept, but I may not like the idea. Oh, there you go. That's kind of interesting. I don't mind that. It's different. It's not what I was thinking it would be, though. Let's try that down here. Difference and normal look very similar to each other. You see people with 50 plus images and they're all the same style. Yeah, you'll find that MidJourney has a default face that it uses. If it can't figure out a face that you want, it has default style that it uses. I think I'm going to stick with normal here, and then we're going to change things. So right now, they look different. Like they don't look like they belong to the same anything because they're completely different colors and brightnesses. So let's fix that. So I'm probably not going to use this one. Let's start here. First thing I do is I'm going to put a gray layer over everything. So just any flavor of gray. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to change this to any of these three: hue, saturation, or color. So I can kind of look at it in black and white. This is the only way to convert an image to true black and white in Photoshop, by the way. Any other way you do it, it's not going to work. I mean, if you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. But yeah, this is how you do it. Gray layer, set to one of those three, and that's great. Right now, I want a curve, and I'm just going to kind of adjust just this flower thing. So I'm gonna put it between there, and I'm gonna click Alt click here, or you can click this button here, so I can kind of work with this. How do I do a private room? You have to pay for that. So if you just right click, if you in Discord, if you right click on the MidJourney bot and say, I think send DM, then it'll tell you, oh, you can't talk to me unless you're paying this amount. So, all right, so I'm doing now is I'm just going to work with, I'm just looking at the flowers and I'm trying to decide what the same black and white level are. Like, can I convince myself that these were shot at the same time and that it's a black and white image? So that's already a lot better. So before and after, because now it's matching her skin tone, the darkness levels here, the darkness level here and here. That's what this is. This is the darkest part. So just kind of make it look so it's about the same. So in black and white, does this look convincing? I think it does. So that's what we need. Now if we get rid of this layer, then this should look already a lot better. But the colors are wrong. So we're going to turn that back on, and now we're going to fix the color. And this is going to kind of look a little weird. We're going to use this, but we're going to use the last model, luminosity here. And I'm going to use, again, we're working only with this background here. We're going to do color balance. That's the tool we're going to use to fix it. Again, we have to clip it, so we're only talking to this layer. And we need one more curve up top because I can't really see what the hell I'm doing. So again, these two layers at the top here, we're going to delete at some point. But we're just going to bring these together so we can kind of see what we're doing, right? And do these look like they're the same color? Well, no. Okay, so let's go to color balance, start the shadows, and start wiggling stuff and see if we can get these to be about the same color, right? That's all we're trying to do, is to match these up so that the yellows look like they're kind of the same family of yellow. And sometimes this works really well and sometimes it fails, but that's where we're going to start. Mid-tone, same thing. And you notice that I don't just do like a little nudge. I do a really wild nudge and then try and perfect it. That's a lot easier than trying to just move it a little bit and go, oh, that's good enough. How do you know it's good enough? Maybe it would have been better if you'd moved it farther. So I'm all about just give it, yank on these controls and see where you can take them. Okay, so those look more like they're from the same color family, right? Now, this may look completely terrible. I have no idea, but usually it's all right. There we go. Okay, so the last part, so that's the value, that's the chroma, and now we need to adjust the saturation of these. Saturation, then we would actually use the hue and saturation tool. Hello from Uruguay, Daniela. Daniela? Yeah. You watch the full stream at lower speed again later. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't speak Spanish. And I talk fast. I apologize for that. So we need to now desaturate the background a bit to match our saturation. And there we go. We have something that looks like it's from the same family, color-wise, brightness-wise, and then saturation-wise. At least kind of, sort of. It's good enough for what we're going to be doing here. And so we don't need these two layers anymore. We can get rid of those. And now let's go back to this one. Let's rasterize this layer because we need more floor here. So we can do is we can grab, we should be able to grab, if we turn her off, that shift click to turn off temporarily a mask, then I can go in and I can borrow this. So all I want to do is I'm going to just highlight all this down here and say, first of all, Photoshop, what do you got? Can you show me what we got there? So, yeah, smash that like button. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys doing that. It helps me a lot. There we go. That looks good. Okay, but I want the shadows back, right? So we didn't capture those when we did the original mask here. So we need to go back. Oh, my phone. Sorry, my phone's going off. We can kind of see that shadow here. Like we may want that. Not really sure. By the way, it's Alt-click on an eyeball to turn everything else off but one, or like this to get them all back again. So what I may want to do here is try and bring some of that shadow back because it looks kind of goofy right now. Plus there's an outline around her which drives me out. And I can see it down here. So depending on the blending mode we've got, we can sometimes get away with murder. I think in this case it's going to be tough, but let's find out. Yeah, see, we're going to have a problem here. So let's just go ahead and get the shadow from the original image. So we just go back in here and use the select wand to kind of grab this shadow. By the way, you have to be on the layer, otherwise it's going to give you a weird result. There we go. Something like this is probably good enough. And I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this layer here, and we're going to put a curve on it. And because we already have a selection made, the curve is going to get that mask. So that's super handy. Let's turn everything else back on here. Okay, so now we have a curve where that shadow used to be, right? So we can kind of add it. Now it's not perfect, it's kind of sharp. So let's just go in here and let's Gaussian blur this. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's blur the edges of this a bunch until it looks decent. Something like that maybe. And then change it again. Just Alt-click on that to get that again. All right, that's better. And then we can again keep playing with our curve until we get what we need to. That looks pretty good. We're still seeing a bit of an outline here, so we can fix that. Again, all that is caused by this specific layer. Now I'm gonna pick my Wacom tablet up, turn it on, and hope to God it connects. I hate running the cable across my desk. It drives me nuts. So you've described you subscribe for $10 now, and you see only messages and drop down on our private tab. Yeah, private is an additional $20. Private is more money. And really, you don't need private, by the way. So if you are a member of this channel, I mean, you're supporting the channel financially, which you are awesome people. Really appreciate you. If you go to my Discord channel, there's a link to it down below. There is down here a private MidJourney VIP MidJourney room that is just for you. Okay. Then we also have another MidJourney room up here, which has a few people in it. I've got maybe 300 or 400 people in here, but it is not anywhere near the traffic. So don't pay the private. You can use my server. There's no cost or anything. But if you are a supporter of this channel, again, thank you so much for keeping it alive, because we're not doing it through advertising, that's for sure. Then you can use this VIP MidJourney channel down here, and that is your baby. That's just for people who are supporting the channel. All right, we're going to go back to Photoshop here. Oops, I hit Capture 1 again. In fact, we'll leave that open. All right, we're almost done with this image, I think, here before we start color grade, which is the last step. So let's do, we're just going to get rid of, I guess that's not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. We want to get rid of this, the rest of this dress here. So we need kind of a sharper edge. This is where I probably should have used the pen tool to go in here and do something with it, but I didn't. Yeah, I would use the pen tool in here. The pen tool is your friend. In fact, the pen tool would be much better than what I'm doing right now. By far. By far. But the pen tool is hard to use, and I don't think you guys want to watch me doing that. So I'm just going to do this the hard way, or the easy way. Plus, you're looking at an image that is 10,000 pixels tall, right? You're probably not going to notice these things. So that's the other thing, is oftentimes when you're looking at how much to retouch something, like when I started working in 3D, I'd put all this time and trouble into like fingerprints on something, and I realized it's sitting on a desk, it's way across the room, and I wasted so much time doing that. focus on what's important about the image and not so much the little tiny details you think are important. By the way, we have one other thing that's major we need to do in here, and that's the shadow. So the shadow, why does it look like this whole thing shifted? It's like the mask shifted. Did I nudge something by chance? I must have nudged it at one point because it was not lining up, and it should be better than that. There we go. So I apparently nudged it earlier and I didn't notice. So I was sitting there like, why is it so horrible? It shouldn't be that horrible. How do you support your channel through Discord? I don't. I just leave it on. Discord's free. I should probably get rid of these little strings and stuff too, but yeah. All right, one other thing we need to add here. So we got this great curve for the shadow. We actually need to duplicate that because there's a thing called it's called an ambient occlusion shadow, but it's a really dark shadow and it's only directly under her feet. So if we go, and we just kind of destroy the image here for a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We go way down in here, and this is up. I mean, it's almost black, right? In fact, we can't even get there. Can we get there? Maybe. Let's try this. And we're going to get rid of this mask. So the mask looks like that. We're going to get rid of it by filling the entire thing with black. And then we're going to go in with a pen, and we're just going to put it right under her feet here, just really close under her feet. In fact, that's not even dark enough for my taste. I want it really just under her feet, so that'll anchor her to the ground, and it wouldn't go around this side here. It wouldn't happen there, and it wouldn't happen over here. It would happen just under the feet, wherever the direction of light is. Yeah, this is the thing. This shadow here sells the anchoring to the rest of the thing. So you got to be careful with that. And you always want one, and maybe a little bit bigger. One way. Am I drawing and erasing? I'm drawing. Something like that. Okay, so now what? Well, I kind of want some foreground elements to kind of help me out here a bit. I could ask MidJourney for those, but again, I'm a person who has a lot of stuff I've collected over the years, and I have. I'm going to open Bridge. Use Bridge a lot. If you guys are looking to organize yourself, by the way, and you can't figure out the best way to do it, Bridge is a fantastic tool. And again, it comes with Photoshop. So if you are already a Photoshop subscriber, you have access to Bridge, and I highly suggest you use it. So I'm looking here. I have a bunch of stuff, and I'm sure I have some petals. There we go. Leaves, fabric, and petals. I've got some white ones in here, I know. Old pink ones, orange, purple, pink, purple, soft petals, gold petals. Where's the white ones? Probably at the W with the white part. There we go. White roses, white tulip petals. Let's go there. Overlays. Let's see what this has got for me. Let's just try one. Just drag it in here and see what happens. Now, initially, I dragged it in here between two layers I shouldn't have. I got to put this up to the top. So I disconnected all these like an idiot. So I'm going to put all those back again. There we go. Put this up at the top. And if we do Control T to see what we got here, we got this. Okay, it's fine. It's not great, but we're just experimenting here, right? You like the music? I'm glad. I hate dead air. The jazzy music is so soothing. There you go. Free jazzy music. Yeah, I bought these online. I put a link. I think there's probably a link to it down below. I use this whole selection often enough that they should give me commission on it. All right, so I'm just lopping these in here. We're probably not even going to leave 10% of these, but I just wanted to start somewhere. All right, so first of all, I'm going to merge them together, and they're the wrong color, so we need to fix the color. So we're just going to go ahead and use this tool, just very blatantly push them so they don't look so goofy. That's good. And we're going to put a mask on this. In fact, we can just go and grab this mask here and pull it all the way up, because again, it's the same. We just don't want the petals on her. Oh, actually, it's in this one, not in the color. So now there's no petals in front of her, but I don't know if that's believable or not. Like, I wouldn't mind some. So if we put it back on here, now we can draw in some petals that kind of cross the border between her and whatever. But we don't want them across her face, for example. So we just kind of pick and choose our battles. Like, do I want one there? No. One there? No. See, these are fine right in here. I don't like these down here, though, because I think they're visually disturbing. They draw my eye too much. So something like this. Like they should be in the air. Like this. Something like that. Woohoo! I have a new sponsor! Also, Can Uzuner? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. You are awesome. You'll get your name on the slide. Very cool. All right, so that's pretty good. All right, so let's try and finish the image. And this is where I think a lot of people, you make mistakes. I hadn't hit saved yet. That would have been bad. We need to do everything we need to do now. We do against the entire. There you go with snow. Yeah, I'm in Milwaukee, so I feel you. I feel your seasons. We have 3 seasons of winter and 1 season of summer too. So what I want to do is I want to do all my operations to tone the image against the entire image, right? And by the way, this image is okay to me. I don't think this is like my greatest work ever. Like, it's fine. It isn't really what I had in mind, but it's turning out okay. Like, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. So let's add a, we're going to use what am I looking for? Oh, color lookup. We're going to use color lookup. And we're going to use it at the top of the layer stack. And we're using this, again, putting the pen down. Done with that thing. We're going to just kind of look through these for ideas, right? We're not going to maybe use it as it comes out, but we're just looking for ideas like the crisp winter. That's interesting. Drop blues. There's some of these I just love every single time. It's just, they're close to what I enjoy. Drop blues. Foggy night, I usually like too, but not on this image. Any of these other ones. Futuristic bleak. I oftentimes like that one a bit too. This one's actually nice. I actually kind of like that one. I don't think I've ever used that one before. Yeah, so let's go back up. Let's try this one. I kind of like it. So we're just going to leave it at the top, and now we're going to go back into Capture One one more time here, and we're going to finalize it. I'm going to skip her skin today because I've done the skin in here about 1,000 times in this channel, and you guys probably don't want to watch me do that again. I did it last week. I'll do it again next week. We'll just take a break, and we focus a little bit more on MidJourney than we did that, but we're going to go color grade this thing to the end so that we understand what it is we're getting. This might be a little bit too shadowy for me, but I kind of like it with this, just the overall look of it. Yeah, the sepia vibe does work. It works with her great skin tone, this background. Again, that all comes down to us using this color balance layer. And if we hadn't color balanced it, this is what it would look like, and it doesn't look like it works. You know, it's like something isn't quite right. It looks like it was composited. So doing this helped. And then again, dropping the saturation. Maybe I made a bad call there because I kind of like it a little bit. Well, do I like it more saturated? I haven't decided yet. I don't know. The thing is, I'm going to walk away from this for like an hour and then come back and decide if I should change something. Because again, all these little adjustments or things to it just help sell the story of what we're making. What about adding some smaller details in the MidJourney image in the top of the photo? I could, absolutely could. And I do. Again, it depends. Each one of these is its own little project in how I handle it or what I'm going to do with it. Oh, is there nudity in here? I hope not. There is, but we'll not show that. Let's go find... There we go. Okay, so first of all, I don't need all this goofy ground in here. So think about your composition. Can I get away with an 8x10 of this? Maybe that's a bit tight. Yep, that's too tight. So let's go with 2x3. But I don't want all that. I don't want all that ground. But I also need all those fingers. So it looks like I might be. Yeah, I might be. Oh, I can maybe get rid of a little bit of the bottom. Something like this. Okay, now I go back to these adjustments. You can no longer use exposure, right? All this does is make stuff muddy. You had to use this before you went to Photoshop. How often do I use MidJourney in a single day? A few hours. No, not all day long. I have work to do. This is what I do for a living. Like, I'm a full-time photographer. So I go to the studio and I photograph clients and I come back and then I decide, hey, I want to play with the images and I want to work on stuff. Do I work exclusively with women? Yes, I do work exclusively with women. If guys call me up, we call men who want to be photographed, we call them props. Do I need a prop for the model for today? Nah. So, yeah, I am a boudoir photographer. So I'm a body painter and a boudoir photographer. So that's all I do. All right, so now I'm going to look at this image overall. Can't use this slider, but I can use contrast. So, and again, wild swings with the control and then decide where it rests. Don't look over here, look over here. Just kind of move it back and forth and decide what you like and find out where that's going to live for you. Brightness you can use. That one's fine. Highlight. I oftentimes don't play with this one anymore when I come out of Photoshop. Shadow, same thing. Wild swings with shadow. White. Can pull it down a little bit just so we don't blow out these parts of the dress if we're printing it. But be careful because it's going to look super fake. Like this. Looks horrible. Don't do that, okay? This is a better slider to pull down if you're trying to remove a highlight. And black here, black point. Something like that. I think that looks pretty good. All right, then I would go into style. And again, you can put these controls anywhere. Now we start in the shadows, and I just grab this and pull all the way to the edge and go all the way around. I'm just looking for what color do I like. I think I like that. And then how much do I like? I don't know. I do like the sepia amounts. I do like the sepia of this image, though, but I think I like the blue in the background, like that. And then the mid-tone is their skin tone, basically. But I think I'm going to go blue and then just not go as hard on it. So kind of tones the whole image down a bit. And then highlights, which is be our flowers. And I don't think I'm going to play with those much at all. Bring it in here pretty tight. Something like this. Yeah, the purple blue center background is nice. Yeah, this is, and again, we can do multiple images. We can create we can clone this variant. We can start again, and now we can go and say, let's push this all the way to the sepia side, for example. Now I can say, which one do I like better? And I think I like this one. This is more my style. And it's funny is people say, well, what's your style? The style is like what you like. If you put 1,000 pictures into a folder that 1,000 people taken, and you put them in, I like this one, don't like this one, don't like this one. You're gonna find that all the ones you like all tend to smell the same. That's your style. So if you take a photograph that looks like that, you'd be like, oh my god, I love it. Well, so to stop trying to use all these like goofy plugins for stuff and just do it this way. And then once you find something you like, then you can change it as a style. So I actually keep my styles. I give these away, by the way. So if you're a channel supporter, I think it's sponsor or grader. No, I think it's sponsor. No, it's professional or grader. I can't remember. You will get the styles that I make and I release them. By the way, if you are a channel professional, I'm giving you this Photoshop file. So if you want this file with all the layers intact and everything, I'm gonna probably go back and name them. That's available for you. Like that's part of your thanks for helping support the channel. I give you that for free. I don't like this one, so we're getting rid of that. There we go. Now I'm going to walk away from this for an hour, and I'm going to come back and look at it again, and then decide, is it too brown? Is it too whatever? Do I like it? Do I not like it? I think, by the way, one of the things we need to change right before I even finish this broadcast, because it's important, actually it worked out okay. You see how sharp she is, and you see how sharp the background is? Oftentimes, if you use other stock imagery, you'll find that the background is too sharp, and it looks fake, because you have a depth of field problem, right? Well, in this case, because we took the MidJourney thing and we increased the size of it, then it looks okay. Again, this is a huge image, right? It's gigantic. And by the way, it's not the best example of a cutout or any of that kind of stuff, right? This is not my favorite image, but I'm okay with it. It turned out nice, but like this light spot up front here is driving me a little nuts. I'll probably have to go back and play with this more because it's not what I want to deliver to her. But it is nonetheless nifty. Okay, so that looks like it's actually part of the MidJourney background that I put on here. So That's this thing. Yep, there's a bright spot right there. So let's just get rid of that because that's driving me nuts. Take time to take care of the little details like this. Don't leave them broken. It's very simple to fix. In fact, I may want to darken this entire front edge a little bit. So I could put a curve on this that pulls down and then just use a gradient. And, well, put it to a color that matters here. Other way. Let's use this one. There we go. So we just darken the front edge a little bit. So now I have to go back and turn everything else on. Where's my girl? Then that shadow should look a little bit more realistic. Save it again. But getting rid of that front, oh, that's just bugging me. My husband says he can recognize the style from all the birding photographers. Yeah, once you have a thing, it's really easy to identify someone's work. And people tell me that all the time. They're like, wow, I can spot your stuff from a mile away. And I'm like, oh, really? I didn't know I had like a thing. After Blender and Photoshop, I'm going to add MidJourney to this duo. Yeah, I do a lot of Blender too, but I don't do it on this channel. There's enough great Blender channels and I don't do it here. But at one point that was my goal. I was like, oh, I was going to add some Blender to this, but actually I like that curve better. So let's abandon the save and save it again. So this is your ground curve. Oops. I never label these things. This is a shadow. This is what we call the ambient occlusion shadow, which is the fancy word for it. But I just call it the crack shadow. But if you're a Blender person, that is the ambient occlusion shadow right there. How about we spell the word shadow right? There we go. This was the curve for the background. It's the color balance. We'll leave that. That's fine. All good. This is 10, which is the petals. There we go. There, hue saturation color line. There we go. And then we don't need this layer anymore. That's the original image we started with. So here's all the way back to where we started, and then here's where we ended. So if you're joining late, that's what we did. That was our work for today. And it was lovely. Let's abandon this again. Let me save. What stuff do you do in Blender? I do product photography, actually. So I do, people send me CAD files of stuff that they're building, or it's on a barge and it's not here yet, and they need the boxes for Target or Walmart. I do all the imagery for those boxes, and then they go get printed on boxes and then sent off to Target and Walmart and whatever. I don't show any of that on the channel here because it's first of all, I have privacy relationships with those people, because sometimes they're not products that are available to the public yet, and they're being marketed or they haven't been released yet. But you know, that's what I do. So I'm more on the realistic product side. So people hand me a very complicated. Well, I get the CAD file basically, and then I have to take. It usually comes in a step file. Then I take that and I go and I use Adobe Substance Designer, and I make the textures and the actual substance. I use the Substance Painter to apply it, and then I export those renders. So I do. I actually created a Substance Designer Discord channel, but no one ever comments in there. Or at least people who do are like MidJourney people. Like, can I produce in here? And I'm like, no, it's for this product. You don't produce everything everywhere, people. So anyway, that's how it turned out. Hey, we got our shadow. Looks a lot better now. I'm happy with that. But that's what we made. That's what we made today. This is 5381. So let's do library. Oops. What am I doing? Right? Wasn't it? I probably just dyslexificated that, knowing me. Anyway, I was going to show before and after, but we're just going to go with that anyway. Where is she? Callista. I lost you. There you are. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. That turned out okay. I'm happy with that. Well, thanks for joining me today. Like, this was awesome. You guys had a lot to say. I love the amount of commentaries we got. Thanks for clicking the like button. That means a lot to me, because I know that it's very difficult. Like most people, I think it's like 10% or even not even 10%, like 2% of people who actually watch videos bother to click the like button. So taking the time to do that, it's kind of like clapping. So lets everybody else know, hey, maybe this is something I could show my friends or whatever. So I really appreciate you guys doing that. And thanks for actually typing in commentating, because again, I feel like I'm doing this by myself. Sometimes when I do these streams, there's only like 4 people or maybe even 2 people in the room and they don't say anything the whole time. I'm like, is it working? Is the jazz too loud? The jazz is never too loud. So I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with me. So I'm going to keep the videos going. Yeah, Instagram. I have an Instagram. It's just my name. So it's S.E. Detweiler. I'm on Twitter as S.E. Detweiler as well. I should throw some little things up on the screen so you guys can see those. But yeah, so if you find me on there, if you have questions on things, Twitter is a great way to reach me as well. And you can kind of see me work on there. But I'm going to keep the things going. As I say, I have an upsizing video that's coming out later today. So you can take your tiny little MidJourney images and make them huge. And it's a free solution, so look forward to that. And I'll say it'll probably be like an hour from now I'm going to release that, so that'll be out there. Jazz for the win, yes. Hey, and Zach Rad, thanks for supporting the channel. Like that, those little stars right there next to your name, that color, that means a lot to me. So if you guys like this stream and you're learning from it, even 1 month of helping me out means a lot to me, because you're helping me out. I mean, that's why I'm doing it. It's not from the advertising standpoint, that's for sure. But thanks for hanging out with me today. And again, I'll probably do a MidJourney stream, maybe even tomorrow. I'm going to probably do one tomorrow. I'm in a weekly AI challenge, and this week is the 7 deadly sins. So we're going to work on that. So you get to watch me deal with MidJourney and or Stable Diffusion. I mean, work in both channels. Maybe you can throw some Dolly in there. And then we're actually going to have our competition here on the channel, and I have a sponsor for it, where we're going to be able to give away a giant print of your piece of work, which is going to be awesome. So look forward to that. We'll announce it, and then we'll have, I will pick a theme, and then I've got judges lined up for it. So that should be really awesome. A little different kind of thing. So thanks for coming in today, everybody. I appreciate you.